Okay, hello everyone. I'm here with the Dr. CEO Amanda Potter. Amanda, I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm glad also that you have this time to chat with me. So I'm thankful for this opportunity. And if you want to introduce yourself for everyone that are gonna to see us in the YouTube channel, and then I will start with the questions.
Fabulous. Thank you, Amanda. So to introduce myself, Amanda Potter, I'm the CEO of Zircon and a technology platform and product company called Talent. And I've been a psychologist, an occupational psychologist for the last 30 years.
That's amazing. Guys, that's why this interview is going to be a huge opportunity to have the wisdom and experience of Amanda to answer our questions about intern positions and all the role that we go through since we graduate and enter into the professional world. So Amanda, I want to start asking you that the first contact that a student has with a company is through the CV and the cover letter. We know how we present ourselves is essential to gather attention and some position, but more important than writing about ourselves is acting accordingly when we are in the workplace and when we also have a position. So in your opinion and experience, I want to know what is expected as an intern as they enter in the organization. What are the most critical attitudes they need to perform towards the workplace and job tests?
So let's just start with the application process. We get a number of potential psychologists who are applying to work with us, either on our internship program or our placement psychologist program from university. And a key piece of feedback I would give people who are applying for positions is, firstly, if you're going to do an application form, make sure you answer the questions and take time to complete it like you genuinely care and you're truly invested in the company. I know it's a bit of a faff to complete an application form for an organization, but they put it there for a reason, because they want to sort through the people who are genuinely interested and invested in applying and those who just want to throw their CV in and see if it sticks. So that's the first thing. Make sure you fully take the time to properly answer the question. Secondly, do your research on the organisation. Many of us, when we prepare application forms for candidates, we're going to be asking you questions like, why Zircon? And you'll be surprised to know so many people just don't seem to know what our business is about or why they might want to work for us. They focus on what they can get from us rather than what they will bring, and what will the two-way relationship benefit from. And finally, proofread your application. You'll be surprised how many mistakes people make in terms of grammar, in terms of spelling, and in terms of sentence construction. So just proof it or get someone to proof your application to make sure that it's truly accurate, because consulting firms like Zircon have to make sure that the quality of the work that we produce for our clients is fantastic every day. So we would never consider hiring somebody that wouldn't take time to proof their application form or their CV.
Yeah, this is an amazing advice for all the process, because I think it goes like your interest in the company. It goes more deep than just having a job. It's what you really want to do in your life, right? And I think our generation sometimes doesn't ask themselves these questions, what they really want to do and why they are here to help in what kind of field and everything. So thanks, Amanda, for sharing this with us. And what do you think about if you accepted someone, so the intern goes, they do all the application form, they answer the questions in a proactively way, so you accept an intern, and when they come to the company, what are the attitudes that you expected from them in general?
So attitudes, so the ones that perform extremely well, and we have hired many psychologists each year for the last 21 years of Zircon's existence. The ones that are particularly good are the ones that are, of course, curious and they want to learn. They're courageous and they get involved in new activities. and they're definitely collaborative. So they want to be part of the team and they want to work together with their colleagues. But the truth is they step up, they step forward for new opportunities, and they put themselves into those situations. They step forward into those situations where they might feel uncomfortable, or it might be something they don't fully know yet, but they understand that we wouldn't ever put them in a position where they're going to fail. We're always going to give them support. So the people who are the most effective, the attitude is around courage. It is around being courageous and stepping forward, but also being collaborative.
And that's also amazing to reflect about it, because when we enter in a position as intern, we don't have the professional experience that sometimes we need to act towards something. And being proactively and courageous and everything that you said could help us to deal with the situation differently than just looking and say, oh, I don't know that, So
do you know what the most amazing thing I find with hiring 1-year placement students straight from university for year 3 is that they join us with a very theoretical view of what psychology is about. So this is pre-masters, of course, because it's year 3 of the undergraduate. They join with a theoretical textbook version of what psychology is about and have a very limited knowledge of occupational psychology. And they leave after a year with a really deep rooted knowledge and set of experiences that they can then apply. And I would say pretty much most of the graduates who have done a placement year with us have walked away with first class degrees, because they understand the application of psychology and they've got such real experience to draw from that they use in their final thesis, that they draw on in their exams. And most of them go on to then do applied psychology. It may not always be occupational, because some of the placement students that we've had have gone into criminal psychology and other disciplines of psychology. It's helped them decide whether occupational psychology is right for them, actually. But all of them have really used that experience to expand their understanding of the application of psychology, because it's very different to what comes from the textbook.
And I think this model of having the theoretical and the practice together, like the Kurt Lewin model of doing that in practice, I want to ask you, how do you, because I know you're passionate about science and that you bring this knowledge into the practice world, and that's what makes a professional different from others, because we need to always reinvent ourselves and keep studying. And I want to ask you, what are the most challenges that you have, like bringing this scientific area into the practice, and how do you manage that in your daily life, daily activities?
Hopefully I'm going to answer the question, because as a business, we pride ourselves on being scientists, on being data driven, and everything we do within our business is about analytics and data and making sure the products we produce, our strengths products and so on, are valid, robust, reliable. But the key is to make sure that we don't blind our clients with science. And in fact, I literally was recorded for another client event just a few minutes before our meeting. And I ended up realizing that I was using psychobabble or jargon. And I just stopped and I said, to put it into simple words, there's 3 questions managers need to ask of their employees. And so my answer to your question is that we need to be using science. It needs to be grounded with evidence, and we need to rely on our training in order to make accurate decisions, to make the right recommendations for our clients. But we need to turn that into language which is accessible and usable for our clients. They don't want to know about the utility analysis theory. They just want to know, what's the value of using this product for recruitment, and why would I use one product over another, and what difference will it make for my company?
To make the best decisions, of course, from their jobs and their everything. Yeah, I want to ask you also, Amanda, about your position. I want to ask you one moment. Okay, so what are the key lessons that you have of building your own consultants?
Oh my goodness. Well, I love running my own business. I'm very fortunate that I run the business with my best friend of 30 years, so who I went to school with. So I'm very fortunate. But there's 16 people now employed within Zircon and Be Talent. And I it's fair to say that all 16 are massively talented, hugely committed, and very passionate about psychology. And we seem to be a really great team. So I love every day. So I'm very fortunate. But some days are tough. Literally, the thing about running your own business is you never quite know what's coming around the corner. And I would say, to answer your question then, what do you need? You need belief and you need to trust in yourself. And my greatest lesson came about 11 years ago. Our research on winning attitude, which is we do white papers where we publish every year. And one of the pieces of research that we conducted was a piece on winning attitude. We interviewed Olympians, Paralympians, and global entrepreneurs to understand winning mindset or winning attitude. What we found out from that research, and I do have a point, I promise, is that those winners who created global enterprises or who achieved a gold at the Olympics, they all had a moment when they recognized that they wanted to pursue the goal, where they had a significant life event that triggered the goal. Now, for most of those people, that significant life event was negative. It was a bereavement, a financial loss, or an ill health of some kind for themselves or a member of their family. And I can pinpoint mine to a family situation for me when I was no longer afraid. I would never share publicly my theories around psychology. I didn't publish, I didn't present at conferences, and I very happily used the published models of personality and our now competitors' products with our clients. And that moment when this significant thing happened in my life, I no longer felt an imposter. I no longer felt afraid. And I started to believe in myself, because the worst had already happened. So what else could happen that could make me scared? And so that moment of suddenly realizing, actually, I should present my result, my version of psychology and what I believe to be true, was the most forming for me as a psychologist. And my business has changed fundamentally as a result. It's gone from us providing very good consulting services using a very good range of products and tests and models by published authors, reputable published authors, to now us having our own methodology, our own opinion, our own products that we are confident in, we're proud to share. And I stand at conferences now with pride rather than with fear. And so I had that personal experience. Our research has shown that many people have similar experiences. And the lesson for me, to answer your question in a very long way, Amanda, is to believe in yourself. And yes, you have to test your theories, but you have to start with believing that you can build something and share something that people will be interested in, that will make a difference and that is valid.
Oh, that's amazing, Amanda. I feel like empowered with your words, to try my own things one day, and the things that I had in my mind. And what I realized through your speech is that to trust ourselves is not something simple that you get from one day or another, or that you can get in a book, in a self-help book. I don't know how to say that, sorry, but you understand. It's something that
Absolutely.
It's something that you build through time. It's something that it's not easy. You have to go through failure. You have to go through difficult situations to build this psychological mindset, in somehow. So it's
oh my God, I completely agree. And I've failed so many times in so many different ways. And every time, albeit desperately painful, I picked myself back up after a little bit, the feeling of a bit sorry for myself. And it has definitely made me stronger. And I'm very proud to be a female CEO of an occupational psychology business we operate globally, we have global clients, and I love the fact that I've given so many trainee psychologists the opportunity to start their careers working for us. So for me, it's a true matter of pride. I love psychology, I love our business, and I love what we do with our clients. So I'm very, very fortunate.
And that's amazing what you said now. It's a wisdom lesson for the young generation, for my generation, because we are not used to fail. We don't get used to fail. No, it's a generation that has to be succeed and wants success all the time. And we need to know that we're gonna fail most of times, and sometimes we're gonna have success. So. Also, I want to, what advice did you give for an intern that enter in a company and go through a mistake or a failure process? How can you say to this person to overcome it? It's like, what can this person do to overcome it?
I think I was reflecting, I think the fact is, the point that you've made, everybody fails. Everybody is rejected from jobs. I got rejected from positions. So only very few people will walk straight into their first position that they apply for and be accepted. Most of us will be rejected at some point or will fail. And reflecting on that, taking time to understand why, is very useful. But I genuinely believe, and this isn't from any psychology textbook, but I genuinely believe things happen for the right reason. And I know that sometimes when we have lost contracts or we didn't win contracts, that actually something even better has come around the corner, because we've shown that belief, and we are continued to be courageous. If you love psychology and you want to be an occupational psychologist, my advice is just to push really hard. Don't stop applying. We've got some psychologists who work for us who applied for scores of organizations, and when they walked in the door with us, we couldn't believe that they'd been rejected by other consulting firms, by other organizations, because they're absolutely fantastic and they fit our organization beautifully. So my advice is to pick yourself up, learn from those mistakes, and just keep trying. And genuinely remember, everybody's human as well. Sometimes organizations and people can feel quite unapproachable. So actually just take time to get to know people. And finally, this is unrelated, but it's a really big bugbear of mine. If you send a LinkedIn invitation, don't just throw out LinkedIn invitations without any notes or comments or why. I get many, many LinkedIn invitations a day, and 99% of them have no comments about why they'd like to invite me, or how they might know me, or what the benefit of the relationship might be on both sides. If there is a comment, it's often about what I can do for them, rather than thinking about why that relationship might be mutually beneficial. So just take time to think about who you'd like to build relationships with and the benefit from both sides.
So that's amazing. I think you said all, Amanda, your wisdom, and it's so nice to hear from a woman, a CEO, and a human that are here, like exposing your failures, your difficult times, and I think everyone are gonna benefit from this interview. And to finish, I want you to come back to invite you to come back to your past and the time that you were an intern, and say what were the most important lessons that you learned then, and that you did, and you could like give this advice for the ones that are being interns now.
Okay, so very honestly, my experience of my first ever position as an occupational psychologist, I oversold myself. I'm good at engaging people in conversations, and I probably in my 20s thought I was better than I am. So I didn't have the humility that I have now. And so that when I walked into my first position, I walked in at least 2 grades higher than I probably should have been in terms of my level of experience. because I'd been running my own business as an associate before then. And so I learned very quickly that I needed to ask questions, I needed to learn from my colleagues, and I needed to recognize the wealth of experience of my colleagues. And I needed to not feel ashamed or worried, that it was okay. They had seen something in me to hire me at that level. So rather than feeling like a failure, I needed to very quickly get up to speed to be as good as the people who are also in the room. And so my lesson was, don't feel like you need to come with the answers. As long as you're prepared to learn, to ask questions, and be open to feedback, then you'll be fine. And so that's my lesson, I think, which is, don't feel like you need to have all the answers when you go to a meeting. Just be prepared to ask questions. And sometimes I ask the silliest questions where I get raised eyebrows. And I think, it's fine. I'd rather ask it than not ask it and then try and bluff it.
Yeah, the important thing is to ask questions, to be open for that, right? So Amanda, thank you so much for your interview and for your time and for sharing this with me. I learned a lot with you, and I'm a future intern. So for me, it was like an amazing time to think and to rethink and to think again of important things that we need to do in life. So I'm really sure everyone will appreciate a lot. Thank you so much, really.
Thank you. And may I just say before we go, we still have placement positions available for 2022. So students who are in their undergraduate at the moment that are looking for a placement psychologist position and are interested in occupational psychology, we have a paid placement psychologist position still available within our organization.
So that's amazing. Keep follow Amanda and ask for questions, be proactive, and enjoy this amazing opportunity that she's providing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.